introduce about myself. My name is Tammy. Actually, my partners who also get involved in this project are coming. And they are actually from their background, the community workers working in the squatter area in Chim Wan. Today's my presentation is focused to tell about the story about Chim Wan squatter settlement. And nowadays there are more or less 10 settlements, roughly 10 settlements in this district, maybe even more than 10 settlements. Actually, Chim Wan, including the this district, including the area, not only the town center, also including Shenzhen. This picture actually shows you Chim Wan before the construction of mass transit railway. It's actually about 1960, and you can see on the right hand side, this side, that is the reclaimed area. This actually the reclaimed area start from the late 1950s, and this area are the town center, and you can find actually this is the original area clustered with many Hakka villages and settlements, as well as the squatter factories. Okay. I would be very handicapped to hold the microphone. Anyway. Okay, here is the industrial site, which is constructed since 1950, late 1950. And you can see the government sold the land to the industrialists to build up their factory. And here the squatter settlement, many squatter settlements and Hakka villages. They are the indigenous villages in Hong Kong. So next, let's have a quick look on the brief look about Guanpanti. This is the study site. I want to tell you the story about Guanpanti village. So this is Guanpanti village. The Chinese name is Guanpanti Chun. And according to the villagers, this name means the barren field and without much grass area and without much green area and just grasses in the 1950s. And this is located at the Chim Wan rural area along the hill slope. A majority of the people are the Chinese. They are the immigrants from the mainland China, and some are the locally born in the 1950s. And the first settler, the villagers, they occupied the area since 1950, maybe even before. And the place, actually, the villages comprises the first section, the second, third, and fourth section, and including a place called Butterfly Place, that that actually composed of the village of Guanpanti. The longest one is almost 60 years living in the area. And this is back to the history about the Chim Wan district. According to the government, they announced to build an industrial township in the 1950s. They reclaimed the area. Here is the town center I told you before, and these are the Hakka villages, indigenous villages, and some squatter. They try to appropriate the area along the hill slope. Okay, you can see these also are kind of the squatter factory. This is the iron works, and already in the place since 1930. And this is town center. And here is the main road, very important road, the Castle Peak Wall, to connect the Kowloon side and along the Chilwan to Tuen Mun. That is the northwestern part of the new territory in Hong Kong. And you can also find some cultivated field and squatter factory, as well as along the hill slope. And here, this is there actually was a big changes in the town center after the government constructed the MTR, that is the Mass Transit Railway, at the center here. So afterward, it totally changed the landscape in Chilwan and changed the fate of many villages and squatter villages in Chilwan. Here is the map, and to show the location of the four sections of the villages, and also here is the roughly, I point out the site is roughly here, butterfly place, and first section, second, third, and fourth. Actually, in this project, we have some idea try to spatialize the history of Hornban Tianqun. We can go back after doing the presentation about the whole history. But this is not the fixed history I want to tell you. I want to make it more complicated in order to find out more opportunity in the history we miss out in the literature. Okay, who are involved in the project? Actually, it's not only me. I have other people and also collaborating in this project. Actually, this presentation, just some observation, but we have already conducted some in-depth interviews and some field work, and also I have tried to review some literature. So there are also some community workers. I told you, the project also grant on their experience and observation in the area. They are doing the project, sustainable development project in the area, and also I already start to participate in the area and have some field work with them. And for their project of SDF project, they also involve some villages and volunteer, and also other outside people. This project is run on some community work in order to see what we can do in order to we understand the urban question about squatter settlement in Chilwan. Okay, here is the representation. The conference is about urban representation in Hong Kong. What is happening is the present urban representation about squatter settlement in Hong Kong. I have I summarized some points into four aspects. The first one, nowadays they are regarded the settlement as temporary structure, 臨時建築物, or better they call them temporary settlement or community. The second point is they are regarded as illegal squatters. Some are on the crown land, some are on the private land, at the expense of public interest, and also violate the law and order. The third point is they are outside the urban planning. They are chaotic, they are dangerous along the hill slope, and suffering from the fire danger, and they are hygienic, whatever. And also the site represent as a site of social problem, as kind of poverty and worsening living condition. They are dangerous. So in the 70s and 80s, we can see that the history shows many community workers, they were fighting for the public housing for the squatter population in Hong Kong. Here, so the representation has the problem, and also very misleading and biased. And what they represent, the representation have some implication for action. The action is to clear the settlement and also to impose the control and management. And at best they can get some compensation and resettlement to the public housing, or get some improvement in terms of some facilities, or very minimal level. This is the current representation about the squatter there. So my argument, maybe the argument, I would say that is the point. So far we can want to push ourselves to redefine the question. The objective for us of this project has to have three aspects. The first one is to unfold histories and geographies. The second point is we want to explore the spatial perspective and argue that space is politics, space is political. And the third one, we want to argue that regulation can only be understood in terms of the processes and social relationship, not an outcome we can see nowadays. So what I mean is we only see the area as illegal. The action is to abolish them, to provide them public housing, and that's it. Okay, three arguments. I would say that it is problematic and misleading to say squatter settlement are temporary structure or settlement. I also want to argue that they are not illegal, built or occupied on the current land. The third point is the development of squatter settlement cannot be understood separately from the urban development in Hong Kong. So so why I want to argue that they are not, at least some of them are not illegal, because according to Alan Smart in his book of Checkmate, he argued that the problems of squatter in Hong Kong are about that of governance and social spatial order in the colony after Second World War. That means it is the matter of governing. The second point is, if we want to understand the policy regulation, we need to situate in the historical and geographical condition, and also view them as a process of governing, of how to govern and control the squatter area over time. So the third observation we want to push the argument is that not all the squatter settlement, actually they were not clear. At least in the 1973. At least in the 1973, there were around 285,000 squatter population found in Hong Kong, when comparing to 300,000 in 1949. So the government didn't clear all the settlement. So as Irons argued that it is because the government failed to govern at that period of time. The second point I want to is my hypothesis. Some of the squatters are not illegal because they were permitted to build the house there. They got permit to build there. They are not illegal at the first beginning. And for example, And the next point is, different areas had different governing rationality and practices on squatter area. Mean to regulate in the urban area, which is different from the area in Chim Wan or in the new territory. So different area has different strategy, but at least by the government point of view. So for the case of Chim Wan, I would want to point out some important thing is in the 1950s, the Qinwen District Office issued the Crown Land Permit for the villagers to permit them to cultivate, permit them to build their house. This is the first part. They got the permit. I show you a picture. This is the permit from the villagers for the Crown Land Permit. These villagers allowed to cultivate along the hill slope. Also, with the condition to pay the tax in order to occupy there for cultivation. And the second one, this is the district office. They allow the villagers to use the space according to the list. The villagers were the pig farm, also raising the pigeons, and also cultivation, and including his house. Okay, I will go through quickly. But in the 1970s and 1980s, there are some changes in how to regulate the squatter settlement. There were increasing population and housing problem in the whole society, and some villages also changes the land use from being a pig farm to build their houses to sell to other newcomers or to the tenants. And in the 1982 and 1984, there was the territorial scale of governing. Actually, I would say that this governing strategy tried to unify the measures under a single category of squatters, including those villagers who got the permit. And the second point I want to push that they reset and finalized the number of structure, size, uses, and population. Together with some changes at the local administration. There are some changes of the district office. How to say? I just explain a little bit about the role of district office. Before 1982, the district office had the land power to allocate the land for some villages. Mean I give you the permit, you can go to somewhere to squat, to occupy the land for cultivation if I give you the permit. Okay. So, but after 1982, the district office changed the role just to manage and administer the place without power at the local district. Okay, I will jump and some argument. There are some changes after 1944. After 1984, and this area also suffering from clearance. And because Guangbanting was on the list of dangerous slope, the government launched a large scale of clearance. And in the 2002 and 2004, there were 2 residential property built on the site of the first section of Guangbanting. This is very problematic. I don't know how to say. They used the dangerous slope reason to clear the land. Afterward, they sold the land and to sell to the private developer. Okay, so I just give you some idea the area by giving you some pictures image. These are the people, they build their house. This is the automatic lighting system for them when they go back home in a dark area. This is the railway for them to transport their heavy stuff, including the construction material, the stuff made by themselves. and the wall, and the squatter factory is still running the business in the area nowadays. And they use the slope, dangerous slope, to cement the area, totally transforming the landscape in the area. These are the image of the new development. If you don't see anything, this picture is no different from the property in the mid-level in Central. But if you go to the site, you can find some few real squatter. They're still there at the boundary of the new development. Okay, this is the contrast. Some of people reject to move, and this is the powerful role of the technology. And this is the butterfly place. Most of the area are abandoned, but few days ago we met the villagers. Sometimes they go back to the place to feed the dog, or they start to do something for the area by tidying up the place. Maybe they want to cultivate again. This is the area. Actually, this is the cultivated field. This is the house, and they clear the area. And maybe they will do something in the future. This is the gate for them to enter their house and the field. And this picture shows they build their house along the hill slope. This is another setting. And this picture shows different material to repair their house according to, because they are constrained by the lands department and squatter unit division to control the material, how they repair. This is the step and the ruins. Abandoned land after 1990s. But you can see the villagers, they came here to cultivate the area, to use the area again. And this case is the land resumption by the lands department. And they fill the cement to the water storage site. This is the terrace land for cultivation. This is their irrigation techniques to water their area. This is their water treatment system. They built by themselves. This shows they were the farmer. Actually, they are the farmer, but different types. Here, these the villagers who were raising the pigeons and hens in the past. Here's the step. Here, the area resumed by the government. Okay. So, last minute, the project just started without research grant. So everything is voluntary. But it doesn't matter, we have time, because the area doesn't have the crisis so far as the ones in the new territory Mashipo. And so you can see the area before the MTR. So after the MTR, they totally changed the landscape. This is the boat squatter population. Here is also, also before the MTR, we can see large area of the squatter. These are some changes in the late 1970s. The industrial town was totally changed into the real estate industries. So you can see this area was owned by one factory owner. It now turned out to be owned by Chengguo Holding Company. It's also the residential property for middle class. This is the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. What Tammy has shown you is one example of intervention into the community by providing a much more grounded understanding of the community. Example is one that a community that had not been facing the enormous pressure of redevelopment as in some other areas. And as you said, she is very much interested in providing understanding, thereby clarifying some of the issues which you might be able to a lot of people later on when they do artworks. So this shows one example. Another example. Okay. Another example would be we are going from Chunwan back into the so-called in the city. That would be on Sham Shui Po. It shows another intervention in a community at different stage, and then by another person of different characters or different cultural baggages. Here's Tammy. I don't know. This Winnie.
I'm going to talk about the case of Sham Shui Po, and it's going to be an informal sharing because I don't have a lot of time to elaborate. And then I basically want to share about how I utilize the geography knowledge I gained in the university and in the HKCGG, our group, to understand our city. And then I will give a very short and brief introduction to an old urban area of Sham Shui Po. So this is the Kowloon, the map of Kowloon, and then inside this red circle is Sham Shui Po. And then for those who are not familiar with Hong Kong, this map will may help you to understand. And then this Sham Shui Po is actually on the western side of Kowloon and just next to Mong Kok. And you can see that it actually covers a large area. Having a closer look on Sham Shui Po, and actually on this map, this is the district boundary of Sham Shui Po, and on the right hand side, on the top right hand corner, it is Kowloon Town, and then actually the Kowloon Town is also included in the district boundary. But you can see the Kowloon Town is a very high income residential area. So the Sham Shui Po I'll talk about later is mainly about the central part, which is the poorest part. And then why I want to talk about Sham Shui Po, because Sham Shui Po is my place. And then because I was born in Sham Shui Po and I lived there for my first half of my life. And then there are some impressions. 1/3, no, I'm 20s. Actually draw from some living experience in Sham Shui Po, and this is my house. I live in the second floor. Actually, I really enjoy living there, and then this is the opposite of my house. On the street, you can see a lot of vendors selling fabric, and then actually this whole area is very peaceful, and we know all the neighborhoods, and my parents work here, and then the neighbors are all friends and even business partners. And I don't want to move out when I was small, really like that place. And then when I grow up, I start to know more about Sham Shui Po from the official figures. And these are the census data in 2006. And then Sham Shui Po has long been the poorest area in Hong Kong. So this is, you can say it is a place of poverty. And then you can see from the first figure that the average income, no matter for the individual or for a household, it is much lower than the average income of Hong Kong. So basically, this has been the case for many, many years, and Sham Shui Po has been very poor. And the second thing is about the inadequate job opportunities. Maybe because of the economic restructuring, more workers are being unemployed. And you can say the labor force participation rates are lower than average Hong Kong. So what's happening in Sham Shui Po? And when I enter university, and I get more chances to visit my own places. And for example, I start to have some field observation on the homeless people in Sham Shui Po. And then basically on the left-hand side, you can see a photo, which is the area under the flyover. And many homeless people stay there overnight. And then this is very popular homeless spot in Sham Shui Po. And then after seeing this, I start to discover the other side of the story. My community isn't that peaceful, but full of diversity and complexity. And then on the right-hand side of the photo, you can see the flyover nowadays. This is taken from the Google Street View map. And you can see that the area are all fenced. And then this area are washed every night by workers to remove the homeless people, not allowing them to stay there overnight. And then in HKCGG, I also follow the teachers and other students together to visit different places in Hong Kong. And like what Wing Cheng has mentioned about the cage home in Kwun Tong, and then and the rooftop housing. And from this experience, I start to understand the underclass struggles over space and their livelihoods. Then I start to think, our cities are very complex. Then how can I understand our city beyond my simple and casual observation? And then that's what HKCGG brought us. We have constantly we have reading group to trying to combine the empirical experience with the theoretical one. And then in the study group, we explore different topics related to spatial concepts. For example, we read about I just list out a few. For example, we read about the space as keyword and how to understand the role of space and its content, and the dialectical reasoning, how we can go beyond the thinking that city is a thing, but instead we can analyze it to see city as a social processes. And then we also read about, for example, uneven geography and uneven development. How uneven development is produced in different levels in our city. And then we also read about everyday life, mainly reading Henry Lefebvre's article on how daily life can expose all kinds of structural dynamics of our city. Then we also study about different articles, but not to mention here. And so how's Sham Shui Po? And then Sham Shui Po, you can see from the photos on the left-hand side, it is still mostly filled by old buildings, yet you can see the buildings are very old, and this fact is being utilized by our Urban Renewal Authority, and which they say that in order to improve the living environment, we need to redevelop the area. So what's happening? You can see on the right-hand side, you can see the high-rise building coming out in Sham Shui Po, and by demolishing the old buildings. So basically, this is happening all over Sham Shui Po, and Sham Shui Po is undergoing tremendous changes. And I made up this map to show you the redevelopment projects in Sham Shui Po, and there's around 10 redevelopment projects being carried out or already finished in Sham Shui Po, and these are all the red spots. Each red spot represents one redevelopment project. You can see that indeed there are 180 more redevelopment projects going to carry out in Hong Kong, and then the exact location has not been announced, but we can expect Sham Shui Po as a very old area will share a large proportion of it. And there are lots of issues in Sham Shui Po, but because of the time, I can only focus on one particular issue. It's about the housing problem. Indeed, Sham Shui Po witnessed different changes in housing aspect in Hong Kong. For example, the squatter and the shaky made squatter areas is famous, and it is also in Sham Shui Po. After the fire, all the people are part of the people are rehoused in the resettlement estate, and this gives rise to the first public housing emerged in Sham Shui Po. Besides, as mentioned before, there's a lot of homelessness in Sham Shui Po in the earlier years and also in the present time. And also the cage house and cubicle, and which many working classes are living there and constantly being regulated by the government in different policy. And what's more, the very recent ones are the redevelopment today, which is taking place massively in Sham Shui Po. And to illustrate the redevelopment problems, I'd like to draw an example of Shun Ning Road. Shun Ning Road is one of the redevelopment projects in Sham Shui Po. So what's happening there? And basically, the problem is this project is announced on last year's summer, and since then, the tenants are being forced out by the landlords. Many of them cannot be rehoused and receive no compensation because of it. And this is because the landlords want to get more compensation from the redevelopment process, and they believe if they kick out the tenants, they can earn more from it. And then the worst case is that these tenants are very poor, and then the surrounding areas house rent has been increased a lot. So once they are removed from this house, they are more difficult to get another house because of the housing land rent. And sometimes they move into the new flats, and soon they discover their new flats will be going to be redeveloped soon. So they have to move out again. And in Sham Shui Po, and many of the flats or houses are now brought up by Richfield Relay Limited, which is Tian Sheng Deichan in Chinese. And then how this work out is actually based on policy. It's on the amendments of Landlord and Tenants Ordinance in 2004. Before these amendments, landlord cannot kick out the tenants before the tenancy ends. But because of these amendments, after that, tenants can be kicked out at any time, even the tenancy haven't ended yet. So the question is, what are the housing rights of the people? Is it only the property owners have the rights, and then the poor tenants have no rights on it? And you can see this is one of there are different protests all around, and one of the examples is Miss Young's protest. And Miss Young is a tenant being kicked out in Shun Ning Road, and she slept on the streets for a week to protest, to voice out the rights of the owners and tenants. Actually, she was sleeping with her 3 kids, so the situation is actually quite serious. And then they want to voice out that poor people should not be marginalized and relocate to periphery. And then the Shun Ning Do Concern Group also did some survey to get Sham Shui Po people's opinion and proposed to build public housing on the site of Sham Shui Po so as to rehouse those tenants. And this is very important because this is an act that they're trying to gain back the control of our city, to get back the control to how to use and to design our city, but not participatory in Euro-A's term, but it is in how to get the rights politically. So I just read a newspaper article yesterday, and this newspaper is written by Wei Yi. Wei Yi is an activist who has been working in the old urban areas for many years. And in this article, she comments on the redevelopment practice in Hong Kong. And basically it's talk about, from the headings you can see, in Chinese it's 拆散的不只是樓而是人. In English it means that the redevelopment projects not only demolish the building, but also the people. And she stressed the importance of social network developed on the ground. And one particular sentence is very impressive to me. He mentioned that even ball players, they need a court to practice together. So in order to develop the social capital and the networks in our places, we need a space and a piece of land. Then she points out the importance of spatial issue. So I was thinking, how can spatial concept contribute to the understanding of our city? And I'd like to introduce a spatial concept about spatial justice. And basically in different disciplines in the 60s and 70s, we are talking about spatial turn, which is no longer focused on some very broad concept, but focusing on the spatial issue. And it is not does not mean that social justice is not important, but in this we have to recognize that space actually play a role in the process of this kind of justice and injustice, and therefore cannot be omitted. And especially we have to analyze spatial justice in cities, because cities are places where power and space intertwine. And therefore I like to draw the dialectics of injustice of spatiality. And this concept is basically from the article of this book, Searching for the Just City. And in this book there is an article written by Mustafa called Justice as a Spatial Imagination, which actually identify two notions to explain the issue. The first one is the spatiality of injustice, which means that injustice has a spatial dimension. So when you observe our space, you can see how injustice is manifest in our area. And the second is about injustice of spatiality, which talk about the existing structures produce and reproduce injustice through space. And then in this point of view, you see that injustice and spatiality are processes. And then they are producing and reproducing each other. Oh, I have no time to explain. And then what are the implications on Sham Shui Po? And these two notions actually can help to clarify the problems of redevelopment. For example, we can identify the spatiality of injustice, such as after the redevelopment, the neighborhood are being segregated, and there's inadequate public housing, and many people have difficulty to find a house, and the homeless issue, and something like that. And for the injustice of spatiality, we can actually analyze the structural dynamics which contribute to this injustice in the spatial organization of our city. For example, how the property market is organized, and then how the redevelopment process can take place through different policy. And therefore, I think this is important to analyze the dialectics between the two, which these two notions are influencing each other. And that's why, because of this kind of understanding, we are going to have different activities in our group. For example, we will keep on organizing reading group like once a week, and we will going to engage some students together to research the old urban area. And then we also will try to organize some local tours. And this is for our students and can be also for public. And you can see from the picture on the right hand side, we actually made one, which we visiting the Nepalese child in Sham Shui Po, and let her to tour us around on how she understand and use her place.